Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome back to another round of My Patriot Report Live. I'm Ratwan Hill, and I am with Mr. Walter Cotton the third. Mr. Cotton, happy Friday, man. How's it going?
Happy Friday to you. It's going well. Going well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, the National Defense Authorization Act. That's one of the things I wanted to discuss, or we get out the way in the beginning. It didn't matter. It didn't. The language for the veteran-owned small business gold program for DoD. It didn't. It wasn't included in the final round for the National Defense Authorization Act. Can you tell me what's your thoughts on this, and what's next? What's next for us?
Well, let me just say it in a complete and full, deep-throated voice. This is a problem for the Senate, right? This is a problem for the Senate because this is the second time that the Senate has given the veteran community the Heisman Trophy on this issue, right? You promised us, and I'm talking directly to the senators that are in office, you promised us that you would pass this particular component as a part of this year's National Defense Authorization Act, right? You have demonstrated that you are not agreement capable. So I'm telling you in no uncertain terms that during this midterm, those senators that are in our crosshairs will be replaced. I'm bringing the full weight of the veteran community behind this issue. Now, I'm going to give you a get out of jail free card because there are some things that we need between now and the midterm. And I will be coming to you directly. Remember this face, right? Because this is the face that's going to be showing up at your office. This is the face that showed up at your office that you ignored, that will cause you to pay the price. So I'm giving you the invitation right now. We're coming in and we're asking you to do the right thing by him and her who bore the battle, because we are hyper concerned about the fact that you are abdicating your responsibility under the current administration to control the power of the purse. But that's a whole nother story, right? I'm going to come to that later. What I want to deal with right now is an agreement that you all made with us, the veteran community, that you violated. There is a price to be paid for that, and we are coming to take our rightful place. And yes, if you see a pissed veteran with a black man's uniform in your screen, you don't want to see me in your office.
Indeed. What can the veteran population do as a whole? Like, what should the veterans be doing right now to rally behind you and get this push? Because this is an important matter.
Well, let's talk about what has happened here before we talk about what our veterans need to do, because it's important that we understand what has just occurred. And what has just occurred is the Congress has saw fit not to provide a safety net, not to provide a foundation for the men and women who bore the battle, right? For the men and women who are standing on guard on the streets in harm's way right now. And the requirement is for Congress to open the door and make sure that veterans have the ability to participate in the contracting program. So if you are a veteran and have served this country, you need to hear me, because we need you to get involved. We need you to get off the sideline. We've typically not been a political animal, right? Because we serve. We need to be political now. I need you to get off the sideline and I need you to get involved. I need you to join your local VSO, or I need you to join me in the elite Services Able Veteran New York chapter of that VSO, because we are going to focus our energy on Congress. And, it's surprising to me that Congress saw fit not to do the right thing by the veterans, because they know that we are the strongest single voting bloc in North America. And to not keep your word to us is unconscionable. But I believe that an error doesn't become a mistake unless you don't correct it. And we're going to give you an opportunity to correct it. And if I sound a little bit agitated, Ratwan, it's because I am, right? I'm agitated because I've got a good friend. His name is William Elmore, right? This is his lifelong mission, right? And William is trotting off into the sunset after his yeoman service to this nation and multiple careers in public service. And this was one of his bucket list items, right? And I was so confident that we were going to be able to give him this as an honor as he retired that, I went out on a limb and I made some investments along this line. And for us not to be able to deliver it is problematic, and it's hurtful for me. That's the challenge. The opportunity is that in the whole veteran advocacy space, if you will, the baton passes to me now, right? And I'm a different kind of veteran advocate, right? Most of the veteran advocates that have been out there historically have come up on the government side of the equation, right? They were an employee of the federal government, right? I'm not. I come from industry. So I ask the questions, why not? I address the hard problems, and it's difficult for me to understand why our Senate did not recognize that I was coming.
Absolutely. Mr. Cotton, you mentioned Mr. Elmore a lot of times, and maybe the audience don't know who Mr. Bill Elmore is. Could you just give us could you give us some legacy and history and background on Mr. Elmore and you and both of your guys' relationship and how it came to be? Because I think that's a significant part, understanding his perch in this lane.
And it is, and I appreciate you wanting to establish that foundation for the audience. But in point of fact, Bill Elmore's legacy in this arena is so storied. All you got to do is Google that name, William Bill Elmore, and you're going to find a champion from the veteran community that actually was responsible for writing the legislation that created the 3% contracting goal under Public Law 10650. But even before that, right, Bill was one of the stalwart advocates in the veteran service community that was fighting for veteran rights under the GI Bill and to enhance some capabilities. Bill Elmore was such a service member that once that bill was passed, it had a position for the director of the Veteran Business Development Office at SBA. And Bill, a senior at that time, came out of retirement and took that position on and spent more than a decade putting in the policies and procedures and programs within the SBA and outside of the SBA, loan programs, VR&E programs over at VA. He collaborated across lines. So if you don't know who Bill Elmore is, Google him or ask AI. I had the blessing of sitting at his footstool as he produced all of these outcomes. And I was one of the few people who would have the invitation to come into his office and sit down and talk to him. He connected me with some of the resources that he worked with. He embraced my joint venturing business model that we use to move the needle in contracting for veterans. So I humbly had the opportunity to walk in the shadow of this great man, Bill Elmore, as he delivered for our veteran community. And a few weeks ago, he let me know that, he's about to take a few steps back from public work. He's maturing, his wife's maturing. And, I basically take that as a passing of the baton to me. And me, you asked me to tell a little bit about me. I'm another guy that you can just Google. I'm another guy that if you don't know about me, right, just ask somebody, right? I've been a disabled veteran advocate for the better part of 20 years and helped the community do some great things. And we are now in the process of helping our community usher in a greater level of economic security in these United States of America. If you haven't been paying attention to the popular media, right now, the economic strategies that are being employed in this country are making America a little bit less safe. Not a little bit less safe, period. And so it's up to our veterans and our service members, in my opinion, to shore up that area. And I am pivoting towards doing that right now. And I don't know how I got off on that soapbox, Mr. Hill. Bring me back. Let me land this plane. Help me land this plane.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. No, that was perfect. That was a good segue into some initiatives you're driving with the Elite SDVOSB network in regards to, we believe in giving people their flowers while they're alive, to the living legends. And we've been talking, and you want to honor a program for Mr. William Bill Elmore, the VNRE Veteran Institute? Is that correct? Or
I'm working on establishing a institute that will memorialize Bill Elmore's legacy. And the title of the institute that I'm working to create is the William Bill Elmore Virtual VRE Self-Employment Training Institute. And that's in honor of the fact that he opened the door. He opened the self-employment door for our veteranpreneurs. I'm in conversation with some of our old friends, specifically our old friend, Mike Haney over at Syracuse University, who now is the vice chair of Syracuse University and sits atop of the Institutes for Veterans and Military Family. Right, Mike owes a tremendous debt of gratitude to Bill Elmore, because in the early days, right, when the Institute for Veterans and Military Families was just an ideation in Mike's mind, when it was just a co-curricular program called the Entrepreneurial Boot Camp for Veterans, Bill parachuted in and ensured that Mike had the resources that he needed to grow the program. So my plan or desire is to connect this institute to the Syracuse University Institute for Veterans and Military Families. And those of you who are individuals that have benefited from Bill's work, and I know that there are thousands of us out there, I need you to pick up on this message. I need you to share it with your friends. I need you to get engaged and get involved, because this is one man that deserves the honor that we are attempting to deliver to him.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with this, the Veteran Institute, is it what, could you in your words explain exactly what is it? Is it just a curriculum? Is it a program? Are we talking about a whole movement for veterans to ensure economic empowerment? Can you explain to us what the institute is?
Well, the institute is an agile asset that I'm putting in place that can accommodate the vision that Bill Elmore had for the veteran business community. And that was a vision that was bigger than the bigger picture. I mean, it was a vision that incorporated a more robust GI Bill program, that incorporated a more liberal utilization of the VR&E program. And so I am complementing this institute with an asset that I created, which is a Cotton Method training program. And I think that that's what you were kind of leaning to. But what we are doing with this institute is we're putting a foundation in place that can take on a life of its own and can support the outsized vision, the outsized value that Mr. Elmore represented for our community.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that's perfect. Another initiative you're driving is something that Congressman Thompson had asked you to do quite a while ago that you're building. That's the Veteran Disaster Readiness Network. With FEMA potentially being dismantled, or that's in talks there. I know they're saying they're going to reduce the employee size and give more power back to the states. Can you explain about this initiative? This is something that we're excited about. I'm excited about that first responder for disasters. Can you tell us a little bit about that initiative?
Sure. This is one of the many opportunities that is emerging as a result of the value inflow that is occurring for our veteran and our disabled veteran business community that is resulting from the dismantling effect that we're having in the areas of DEI. So right now, if all you got to do is look at the popular media and you see that the veteran business owner or the veteran contractor has emerged as the least risk awardee in this season where the 8A program is being audited. The small disadvantaged business preference has been found to be non-constitutional, right? And so in this season, veterans simply have to look at the needs of the government, fashion a solution around it, and since they are the safe harbor, they are the preferred choice, they become the best value asset or best value choice for those requirements. In the area that Mr. Hill is specifically talking about, some years ago, Congressman Thompson came to me and with his friend Kenny, I can't think of Kenny's last name right now, but at any rate, they wanted to create a disaster response program that could incorporate more small disadvantaged businesses. And as you know, Congressman Thompson is from Mississippi, and Mississippi was at that time being affected by one of the multiple natural disasters, right? The hurricanes, right? The storms that affect that season. And we contemplated the idea of putting together this network of minority-owned businesses that could take advantage of the Stafford Act requirement to use local businesses when there is a national disaster, right? And we took that particular effort through the Minority Business Development Agency, and it started getting some legs and some traction. And up came COVID, and then the dismantling DEI, and now the Minority Business Development Agency is persona non grata. That opened the door for our veteran community to take a look at that need in the face of the debate that is swarming surrounding FEMA's future. And if you're following the popular media, there's some concern as to whether or not the federal government is going to delegate FEMA authority or more FEMA authority down to the states. And so some of our veterans that own construction firms remembered the Small Disadvantaged Business Disaster Response Network and asked the question, could us veterans put a solution together that could proactively step into the gap for our nation and fill that void that exists right now? And that answer became yes. And so a small group of veterans are putting together a national disaster response network that is going to include all of the remediation, all of the construction, all of the temporary housing, all of the assets one needs in a network that is proactively positioned to address any national disaster. And this is where this gets really exciting and sexy for me, in a cost-effective fashion. And I say cost-effective because whenever there's a disaster, that's when the profiteers and the robber barons, right, they start sharpening their teeth because they know that they can gouge the government, they can gouge the local people because of need. And we're saying we're going to put together a network that promises disaster response at a dependable price.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, and I'm excited about that. While you were talking about DEI and with the 8A being disrupted, there's that seems like a very strategic attack. It is being attacked hard, and I believe it was 2 or 3 days ago, Senator Ernest, who chairs the Senate Small Business Committee, just sent a letter to agencies, pretty much or essentially asking to freeze all the funding for the 8A program. For people who haven't read that 8A letter, what is it actually asking agencies and SBA to do?
Well, it has initiated a formal audit. And when I say formal audit, I'm talking about an audit that has legal consequences, right? So this particular letter actually comes out of the general counsel office at SBA. And so that means that the results from this particular action can be referred over to the Department of Justice. But at the end of the day, we can just take a step back and get a good understanding of you are here point, the you are here point, by maybe having an appreciation for how we got here, because we're in the throes, right? We're in the throes of a well-constructed plan, right? That's being implemented right now to change the balance of power in these United States of America, right? And that plan, what do they call it? Agenda 2025? Was that the basis of it? Is being implemented, and it does not have America's best interest at heart. If you just look at some of the near-term outcomes that we've seen from its implementation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Indeed. Okay. So we've been sounding the drum on this 8A. You've been speaking about this way, way, way early on before this happened. I believe it was like the beginning of last year or sometime early last year where you were speaking about the ultimate lawsuit about the Byron Allen case with McDonald's, and you've been one, as is coined, the Wayne Gretzky of government contracting, because you know where the puck, or you go to where the puck is going, and you've been calling all of this stuff for a while. And I don't think people actually appreciate the fact that you've been accurate. And it's not saying you a Cleo or Nostradamus, but because you have a wide range of knowledge and experience that gave you this wisdom, you've been able to accurately define when events like this have happened, and you've been the proactive individual your whole career, and being able to position us for the best possible outcome. What should we be doing? What should small businesses do? What should be veterans doing, since that the veteran-owned small business preference program didn't get included in the National Defense Authorization Act? How should they be maneuvering now? Should they be looking to work with the service disabled veteran and partner with them? Is it like, what should we be doing?
Well, I appreciate your effort to attempt to be politically correct and not deal with that, third rail issue of ethnicity in this situation. But what we're dealing with is a circumstance where Black and brown people have been defined as persona non grata from a contracting perspective. And what they've done is they've taken all of the programs that provided advantages for Black and brown people, and they've taken them out of the public sector contracting space. And so what that means is that if you are a MWBE that enjoyed favor or privilege in the past, you no longer enjoy that favor or privilege. And so this is the season for you to decide what your succession planning strategy is going to be, because that contract that you have right now, and hear me loud and hear me clear, that contract that you have right now, irrespective of how material it is in your life, is not guaranteed to be renewed to you. And I would submit to you that under this dismantling DEI when this is the opportunity that the invisible hand is going to take to rebalance, reshuffle the deck. And so I don't care whether you're the guy that owns the facility support services contract at Hartsfield Airport in Atlanta, and you've had that thing for the past 10, 15 years. When that thing comes up for recompete, your advantage is over. Your advantage is done. And so if you haven't done the thing that you need to proactively insulate that contract, someone is in a position to take it away from you. Ergo, I say they probably will. The second part of the question Mr. Hill asked me is whether or not there's a potential pathway for you to align with a disabled veteran to insulate your contract. And I'm going to say it clear and again in a full deep-throated voice. The answer is yes. Right now, the powers that be have dismantled the small disadvantaged business preference or the minority preference program, and they have their sights now on the ethnic preference program. The disabled veteran business program is the only one that they have not disturbed. We disabled veterans happen to come from every arena in our society, right? We come from every ethnic arena and every gender arena. So if you're a small disadvantaged business out there, or you're a woman-owned business out there, the smart succession strategy you could be employing right now is to find a disabled veteran. You're probably only 1 degree of separation away from one anyway. You probably have one in your family that's a couch surfer, right? Taking up space on your house, right? In your house. But find a disabled veteran, create a joint venture with that veteran, and novate your contract over to that entity. When it comes time for recompete, you'll ask them the question, how you like me now?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, Mr. Cotton, you strike me as a individual who was like the top of the class in Harvard or something. You know, could for the audience, I know they asking the questions. They probably asking, man, who is this guy? You know, did did you grow up in the black bougie? I mean, the black boule family, or could you just give us a little taste of your background? Like, what was your upbringing like, man? Was you valedictorian of high school? You know, top honors. Can you just give us a little taste of what of your background?
You, yes, I can. I did not grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I grew up in the inner city of Syracuse, New York. I'm the product of a single mom, and I think it would be interesting for the community to learn more about me, because people often give me advanced labels, like in the military. My military community, people refer to me as general, right? You know, you're the general, and I'm offended by that, because I am enlisted, right? I was not an officer, right? You know, I retired as an E4 specialist out of the Army, and I am proud of it, right? But what I did do was I utilized the VRNE Veteran Rehabilitation Program to get my degree. But to answer your question, man, I was literally homeless at age 14 in Syracuse, New York, and went from there to what you see today. And I think it would be a healthy experience for me to unpack what happened in the middle.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I was waiting for, like, okay, so you went from homelessness to being one of the nation leading subject matter expert. You know, how did you go from that to there? Because a lot of people, especially in our community, they tend to play victim. They like to play, be victimized. It's like, no, just because you started somewhere doesn't mean that's where you're gonna finish. It's all about progression and being persistent in your progression. And you can see that in numerous different individuals that came from our community, where they started somewhere and they progressed. So how did you go from being homeless, to being a business owner? Like, well, how did you get to start in the business world?
You're asking me a question that is really intersecting a place that I've arrived in my life at this age. People have been telling me for years, Walter, you need to write a book, right? People need to to hear about your story. You need to get your memoirs out there, and my story deserves the kind of attention. It deserves the kind of focus that exclusivity would yield. So I would ask that we maybe take a journey into my background as an individual element, and it could give me a head start on my memoirs by being somewhat of a virtual look-see into my life. So if you would be willing to take on the chore of trying to pull out all of the history that's in the crevices of Walter Cotton's mind, I'll share it with you.
Absolutely. But guys, on that note, we're going to save that for another day. I know the audience want to know. They're probably on the edge of the chair like, man, I want to hear more of this. But we're going to save this because we want to give it the time and attention it needs. And we want you guys to enjoy your weekend. So we're going to save this. I'll catch you guys next week. I am Red Twan Hill, and that is Mr. Walter Cotton III. Until next time, guys, we are out.